Hey guys, I'm Jesse McCartney.
And I'm Katie Peterson.
And we're getting married. After 9 years, like my account of it is slightly different than hers, but I'll tell you kind of where I was coming from. I get a call very late on a Friday, Saturday night, and I was at a recording studio working actually, and my buddy, was his birthday, and he invited me to come in for drinks. I was far away, and I knew I wasn't gonna get there in time, but he sort of guilted me into coming to come have like a late night toast with him. And I came in to the bar. It was like pushing last call, or it was last call. And I walked up to the bar, and Katie was bartending at this place. And I remember asking for a drink and her saying no. And then my buddy, whose birthday it was, he happened to also be sort of running the place and promoting the place. And he leaned in and said to her, like, "Oh, he's fine. He's a friend of mine. Like, pour him a drink." That's what I remember, and immediately, like at that point, like she really hated me at that point, because now she's like pouring me a drink. She wants to go home. So like I sort of was apologizing and thanking her all at the same time for like making me a drink. And then like you softened and we started having, like, I think you had a drink with me. This is my account of it. How do you remember it?
Yeah, it's pretty close. It was definitely after last call. The bar was closed. And then we started chatting, but yeah, I was not excited to serve him after hours.
And then I left her my number, and she's like, "You didn't write your name down on it." And I was like, "Oh, of course. She's probably gotten a million of these tonight." So like I had to write my name down on the napkin, and then eventually the rest was history. So that's how it all went down. We met at a bar, which, you know, for millennials is like old school now, you know?
Yeah. We were before the dating apps.
Yeah, we never matched, we never bumbled.
After that, I think we went for drinks like 2 or 3 days later, and then I actually flew home to be with my family for like 10 days. They had planned this like family vacation. But while I was gone, he literally called or texted me every single day. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is...
I was pretty aggressive.
No, it was sweet that he was like courting me. He would like send me selfies of him singing, or like, I don't know, it was really sweet. And I remember being on the trip and showing my aunt, like, can you believe this guy? But yeah.
I knew what I wanted. After about a month of that, I think she finally said, like, "Are you ever gonna take me out, just the two of us?" And keep in mind, you know, we were pretty young. We were 25, so we were like in the heart of our 20s, going out a lot and, you know, going to bars, and the nightlife was something that you did then. And so eventually she was like, "Are we going out?" And then that's when eventually I was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta do like a proper date." And so I took her to a really nice restaurant in Beverly Hills, which later on would become the very place where I would propose. Our first date was at a restaurant called Cut in Beverly Hills. It's this Wolfgang Puck Steakhouse, and it's a really, really special place, and we're both big foodies, and there's just like this really sweet romantic table for two that sort of looks over the entire restaurant, and we're sitting there, and I remember, you know, when it came time to propose, I had purchased the ring actually with the intention of proposing on her birthday in June of 2019, and I had the ring a day after the ring came like a day late, like it came too late, and we had gone up to Napa for her birthday, and I had planned on proposing up in Napa. And we got up there, I didn't have the ring. It came the day after we had to leave. Now I have this ring, we get home, and I have the ring for weeks, now months, and I don't know, I can't figure out a good time.
Did you take it to Florida too?
It was super stressful. Like I took it to Florida for like this family event in Florida, and it didn't feel right, so I just left it in my luggage and didn't end up. So I'm like traveling now all the time with this ring. I'm moving it around the house thinking she's gonna find it. I put the ring in my golf bag at one point because I was like, surely she won't look there. Then she moves my golf bag and cleaned, like you were cleaning the garage one day. I was like, okay, I can't deal with this stress anymore. So September comes around nearly 5-6 months later, and I realize it's our anniversary. Like this is the right time. And so I booked a reservation at that very table where we had our first date, and I had a videographer with me sort of filming the moment. And so she sees this camera and then like looks up at me, and then I said my spiel, and then I got on my knee and proposed, and like the whole restaurant stood up and started applauding, and she ugly cried a little bit, and it was really nice.
It was. After the restaurant, we came home, and then he had told me he wrote this song, and I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, it's called Party for Two, and then he played it. That was the first time I heard it. Him and his writing partner wrote it for the engagement, so it was really special. But it's crazy now hearing it, like when everyone can hear it, and then shooting the music video, it was like, oh my gosh, this is all really happening.
It's funny, I told the writers that night, they were the first people I told when we went into the studio to write the song. I said, I think I'm gonna propose. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah. I said, I started looking at rings, and so this must have been, I would say, early 2019. And then we got in the studio and we started writing. I had some lyrics that I had put together, and we just got really, really lucky. On the first try, we wrote this song that just was perfect. And I did want to have like a love letter for her when the time came, so this was it.
We're getting married at the Santa Lucia Preserve, which is a private property in Carmel, California. I was like looking at outdoor venues in California, and I came across this one, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the most magical place I've ever seen. And we love Carmel. He took me there for my birthday one year, so we already had like a connection. And we went up to see it, and it was just like instant emotions, and I mean, it's breathtaking. It's extremely whimsical and like a fairy tale, truly. It's beautiful. You're in the middle of the redwoods, and these trees are like 800 years old, and they're like massive.
It's like quintessential California. You drive through the rolling hills, and there's deer, and there's wild turkeys, and beautiful white oak trees, and like Katie said, redwoods, and it just has this fairy tale storybook feel to it. The ceremony's in the redwoods, but the reception is in this super huge structure. It's a barn, really. It's like huge wooden beams from the 20s or something, and huge vaulted ceilings, and you just feel like you're kind of taken away, you're in a whole nother world with the people that you want to be with. Certainly COVID still is affecting things. The wedding ceremony is outdoors, which is really nice, and then the reception is indoor-outdoor. We're trying to be as safe as possible. My very close friends and also incredible stylist, Melissa Woodbury, styled this entire wedding from the rehearsal dinner to the welcome party to the actual wedding night. Ultimately, we went with Brioni, and I couldn't be happier. I think it's just such an unbelievable fit, and it's really comfortable. When I put it on, I felt like $1,000,000, and I think that's probably the most important thing. But I mean, it's all about the dress, right?
The dress shopping process was really fun. Because it was during COVID, I could really only bring one person with me, but my mom was able to fly out, so it was really special. We got a bottle of champagne, and she knew it was the dress before I did. I'm wearing a Galia Lahav couture dress. It's a mermaid fit, so it's definitely like plunged here, and then it cinches in on the waist, and then it's fitted until it kind of flows out at the bottom. It's covered in beading that is like vines, which I absolutely love because we're getting married in the redwoods. It felt very like rustic, and almost like my dress is like coming out of the woods as well. Like it just fits the venue so well. It has a long train, which is one of the things when I was dress shopping, Jesse kept saying like, so does it have a train? Does it have a train? And I was like, what do you know about a dress train? But he was very like concerned about the dress having a train. So this is the train of all trains. It is beautiful. It's like sparkly. It has the beading that continues all the way down, and then the edges are finished with more. I told my mom first it's gonna be with my dad being weepy, Then Jess is gonna see me, and then my uncle, who's officiating, also gets weepy. I'm like, I'm gonna be walking down the aisle trying to keep everyone together. But yeah, I think because we're not doing a first look, and that will be the first, that it will be very special and emotional and romantic for both of us. So I can't imagine there will be a dry eye between him or I. Since we're getting married outside in the redwoods, and it's just the perfect backdrop and scenery, we didn't want to distract too much from that. So we're having chairs in different rows, and then behind the chairs we're doing like tall greenery and like white pops of flowers, and then down the aisle they'll kind of taper down till it gets to the front, and then we're doing a white petal aisle. So I will be walking down on like 4 inches of rose petals or something crazy like that. We are going to have our dog Bailey come down the aisle. The florist is making a nice wreath collar for her to wear.
We're gonna have a string quartet for the ceremony, which is a sort of like classic, right? It's a cello, a viola, and 2 violins. And believe it or not, so one of my favorite musical scores of all time is the music from Jurassic Park. And for no other reason that it's just really beautiful to listen to, and it'll have this like familiarity, I think, but also just like it's gorgeous. And it feels like super grand. So I don't know, there's something like very sweet about it. And we are gonna play, just to sort of foreshadow the last dance, we're gonna play a little bit of Clapton's Wonderful Tonight.
That's what I'm gonna walk down to.
Which is a really beautiful melody for a violin. It's just very nice on the strings.
For the ceremony, we'll be standing under an arch, but it's like an asymmetrical arch. We liked the idea of it being open, like we're, our vows are going up, I guess, to the heavens.
Up into the heavens.
But it's really unfair when you're marrying a songwriter who specializes in love songs.
Your
it's
vows,
like not
it's
very
different.
fair.
It's not like, don't worry about it. It's
I
gonna
write
be
comedy jokes, and he's over here writing Party for Two.
You just make yours funny, and I'll make mine, I'll just sing mine.
Okay.
Jesse, you may kiss your bride.
When you walk into the reception barn structure, there's going to be 3 long tables, and the flowers will go down the center and then pool off onto the ground, and immediately you walk in and you're just instantly into the flowers.
We have chandeliers with flowers coming down.
Even when you walk in, the barn doors are going to have greenery going up like it's growing up the barn. They've thought of every inch of this place.
Yeah, we're trying to be as thoughtful as possible, but the flowers are really going to be, I think, a huge statement for the reception in general.
Santa Lucia Preserve is doing all the food in-house.
We're doing very California fare. I'm a big ice cream and sorbet guy, so I think we're doing like homemade sorbet, and then of course we're serving wedding cake. It's called a naked cake. It's sort of unfinished and has that like rustic feel.
I told Jess he could pick the cake because it's more important to him.
As you can tell, I'm very into this cake.
I picked what it looked like, and he's picking what it tastes like.
Yeah. Lavender is a big theme throughout the wedding. Lavender was in our invitations, sort of waxed to the invitation. It's in the welcome bags with lavender candies. Lavender is very indigenous to the area, so it'll be on the wedding cake, it'll be fragrant in the hotel, it'll be part of the whole theme. To me, like, one of the best things about a wedding reception is live music. It's like really just takes it to a whole nother level. So I'm really looking forward to that part. We put together an incredible wedding band. There's like 15-piece wedding band. We went through a company called Elan Music, who are based on the East Coast out of New York. So I basically kind of, with 3 different wedding bands, kind of put them all together and brought them together to make what I think is like this super band. So it's gonna be drums, bass, piano, guitar, keys. I think there's 4 singers, 4 horn players, and 4 string players. My whole band is coming, so we're gonna sit in with the wedding band for a few, and I think we're gonna play Party for Two. Part of the allure of our life is kind of not knowing, just kind of figuring it out as we go. It's kind of what we've been doing for the last 9 years, and it's worked out for us. We've definitely talked about building a family. We've talked about other things that we want to do in our professional lives as well, and we've talked about where we want to live for the rest of our life, you know, or if we want to travel in our immediate future. We haven't gotten that far, but we know that whatever we decide, it'll be with the other person's interests at heart and in mind, and we enjoy the idea of having to cross the bridges as they come as a team.